there, thank you for joining me today. I'm doing an empties video. I have 10 new makeup empties to share with you. I have a perfume empty. I'll save that one till the end, and I also try to include number of uses. So how many times I wore a makeup product before it was empty. I'll just jump in, starting with eyes. I have one mascara. This is from Milk Makeup. It's the Kush mascara. I didn't care for this. I have gone through a mini of these in the past. The same reasons I didn't care for the mini when I tried it years ago is the same reason why I don't like this one. It's mostly the brush. The brush is enormous and the bristles are really long, so it's bigger than my eyeball, making it for a very messy application. It's very difficult to precisely apply product, and because the bristles are softer, I also have a lot of trouble combing through my lashes. I have really thin, fine lashes, and I prefer a rubber bristle brush with slightly more spiky or just more resilient bristles, and that way I can push them against my lid and they'll push through and apply product to my lashes in a more even fashion. The formula is also not very notable or exciting. I just didn't really care for this. I do like the packaging a lot. It's a very weighted, beautiful silver package, but yeah, I don't think I would pay full price for this. If you are curious, luckily they do sell minis. I typically purchase minis of mascaras if I can anyway, but I don't remember the bristle, I don't remember the brush being any smaller though in the minis, so just keep that in mind. The next one is an eyebrow pencil from Ulta Beauty, and it's in the shade Taupe. This is a micro pencil and the color matched me pretty well. I do prefer micro pencils because I feel like I just need a little bit of help every once in a while filling in some gaps. I don't really need to completely recreate a new eyebrow. I like the ones that have a little spoolie on the end to help comb through. This one was a really thin spoolie, which I think was great for my brows because it's stiffer and thinner, and I think it just gave me a lot more control over where the brows went. My main complaint about this though is how much use I got out of it. So I wore this 39 times before it was empty. And I didn't think I was using a lot each time. Like I said, just filling in a few gaps here and there. So for it to go that quickly makes me feel like it's not worth the money, even though it is a more affordable brand. For reference, the e.l.f. micro brow took 137 uses to finish, and right at the very end, a little bit of it chipped off right at the end. So if I hadn't chipped it off, I would have gotten even more wears out of it. So for this to be 39 and the other one to be 137 plus uses for probably around the same price. The performance of this, the formula, the color, like everything else was fine. It really just is the fact that I went through it way too quickly. That keeps me from wanting to purchase this again, and if I want an affordable micro brow pencil in a formula that I already know and love, I'm definitely gonna go for the e.l.f. one. Okay, this one I also went through too quickly, and I am not entirely sure what happened, but this is from Smashbox. It's the Always Sharp Waterproof Kohl Liner in the shade Raven. This is supposed to be waterproof, and I guess I fully still don't understand how the packaging works, but when you twist the lid, it somehow sharpens it every time, which doesn't make sense because when you pull off the bottom, I think there's also a sharpener in there too. Like, why do you need to sharpen it so much? Anyway, I really liked it for the 7 times I got to wear this. I'm being literal. It took 7 uses and this is empty. I think it might have been sharpening too much every time I took the lid off. And I looked up reviews. A lot of people have had that same problem, so I don't think it's just a one-off issue. If you have this and you've been able to figure out the packaging or whatever, let me know. I just have never experienced something like this before. Yeah, this was disappointing, and part of it might have been user error. I might have just completely done something wrong, but I just imagine it should be a little bit more user-friendly. This isn't my first eyeliner I've ever worn. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about this. And my last eye product is super exciting. It's a single eyeshadow from Makeup Geek in the shade Petal Pusher. This was a mid-toned, cool purple mauve color, and I loved this. I wore it in my crease. It was like the perfect crease color forever. I still love mauve tones. I just really like it. And so yeah, this was a treat to finish. I don't have number of uses because I purchased this originally back in November of 2018. So I have been steadily wearing this for 5 or 6 years now, and I haven't been able to keep track for that long. I imagine the uses were in the hundreds though, because I was really only using it in my crease most of the time. I loved pairing this with Cleona Ripple, which is one of the eyeshadows that I finished in my last Empties update. That one was a really beautiful light turquoise glittery multi-chrome. This in the crease and that on the lid was a stunning combo. I know I have been finishing more single shadows this year than typical, but that's just because I'm trying to focus on them more. A lot of my single shadows are pretty old and I don't want them to just get forgotten about. I want to reach for them more, and this was one of the first of many that I hope to finish. So yeah, this is really exciting. I would be more than happy to have another one like it in my collection, so if anyone knows of a dupe of this shade, please let me know. 2 lip products to talk about. One of them is a mini lipstick from Charlotte Tilbury. It's their Pillow Talk shade. I didn't dig down into it because I want to save this shade, and that way I can pull a little bit out and swatch it on my hand and compare it to other shades for other reasons, especially because Charlotte Tilbury just came out with a Pillow Talk Fair shade, and so I do have a short where I compared it to the Pillow Talk lip liner, this Pillow Talk lipstick, and the Pillow Talk medium shade. So if you'd like to see what the difference between the shades and the formula is, I do have that short available. So I'm gonna hold on to this and just keep whatever pigment is left inside of the bullet for swatching and reference purposes in the future. I do like the Matte Revolution formula from Charlotte Tilbury, but I don't prefer matte lipsticks overall. So this one it's creamy enough for being a matte, but it's not my preferred formula. I much prefer their satin kissing formula. So I don't think I would run out and buy the Pillow Talk shade Matte Revolution version again. And now that I have Pillow Talk Fair, which is a little bit lighter, a little more pink, and in a satin formula, I'm kind of good. But this was beautiful. I have gone through a full size of this in the past. This Jason Wu Everyday Lip Mask was a treat. I really enjoyed this. I did take the stopper out and finish it, and this took 83 uses to finish. I did a comparison last December during Litmas where I compared this and the other 2 Jason Wu lip mask lip balms that I have, and this one surprisingly is like the thickest and most nourishing to me. It's got a little bit of a sweet mint scent, but it doesn't feel minty on the lips and it doesn't give you a tingle or anything. This was a really beautiful clear velvety balm. I loved this. If I didn't have what feels like a million other lip glosses and lip nourishing products in my collection, I would purchase this again. I have 4 face products, and the first one I want to talk about is a bronzer that I've been working on for a really long time. This is from the Balm. It's the Take Home the Bronze in the shade Oliver, I believe. And this was from a range of bronzers that the Balm came out with that was anti-orange. And I remember hearing people say that Oliver had an olive undertone, but I'm not entirely sure if it did. I didn't really feel like it did. I don't have total number of uses to finish, but I did start tracking once I started actually focusing on it more to finish it. And from that point up until finishing it, I have 189 tracked uses. So whatever amount it took to finish, it was over 189 wears. I don't remember if I included this in my Club 100 video or not, but I should have if I didn't. I'm finding a lot of bronzers right now are just too pigmented for me, so even if they did still make this, I probably wouldn't purchase it again. I'm loving my Becca bronzer, which is also a discontinued product that you can't get. That one is just the right amount of pigment for me. It's not too heavy, and if I use a fluffy brush, it gives me just the right amount of pigment that I want in a bronzer. A product I didn't really love so much, I was very underwhelmed by, is this Haus Labs Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder. I had the shade Translucent. I don't like when powders have that net in the center where you can put your brush on and it'll come through the net onto your brush. I use way too much powder when I'm setting my foundation to have the patience for that. I would have to dip my brush back in like 30 times in order to get the right amount of powder. If you don't wear a lot of powder and you like a lighter application method, then this might work better for you. But for me, I pretty much always cut that netting out or take the lid off and pour it into another container for easier access. Again, because I use so much powder, I get really oily, and I also live in a more humid climate. Well, I don't even know if it's necessarily humid, but I do think there is something about the climate I live in that affects my skin type. Because I've traveled west a few times in the past year in more arid climates, in more like desert regions, and I didn't have nearly as much trouble with oil control as I do when I'm here. So I think like I have an oily skin type, but then also the place I live in really exacerbates that, and so I do like to have a lot of powder to set my makeup to help keep it from getting too glowy too quickly. And for comparison, this took 48 uses to finish, and the setting powder from Milk Makeup took 89 uses to finish. The Haus Labs one is 7 grams and the one from Milk Makeup is 7.65 grams. That's a pretty big disparity between two products which have essentially the same amount of product in them. That's not me saying that I would definitely recommend the Milk one over this one, because I didn't really fully love the Milk one either. I liked it better than this one though. This one looked heavy on the skin. And even though it's translucent, I do think it had a little bit of a tint to it, which didn't really work well for me. Two Charlotte Tilbury products. I really liked both of these. I've talked about the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray from Charlotte Tilbury before. This mini took me 37 wears to finish, and for reference, the full-size bottle took me 125 uses to finish. This was the White Tea of Bali scent, which I don't think they sell anymore. I think that was just like a limited edition scent. And I did like it, but I also really like just the regular scent too. I've sung its praises before. I just talked about this at length in my last Club 100 video. This is one of those setting sprays that does give a glow, but still sets your makeup and doesn't make you feel oily or greasy. So if you're looking for the glow without the feeling of the glow, if you know what I mean, this might be a great setting spray to try. And I bought this in a duo. I don't know if they sell a mini of this on its own. If they do, I recommend trying that first. And then I have another Charlotte Tilbury product. This is the Wonder Glow Instant Soft Focus Primer. This is really similar to, I think, a discontinued primer that they had. It was like the CC primer. It was like a color correcting primer. That one was just white though. Like I didn't see it doing any color correcting. This one was a gold primer, but I feel like the scent, the feeling of it, the performance, they were relatively the same. It just had a little bit more of a golden tone to it. I also tracked the uses for that glow primer, even though they don't make it anymore. That one took 138 uses to finish, and this one took 126 uses to finish. I went through this one slightly faster than the other one. I don't know why, because I feel like I wore them in very similar ways. Sometimes I wore it on its own as a primer under foundation. Sometimes I mixed it in with foundations to make them a little more glowy or more skin-like. I really liked this, but I definitely preferred the glow, the other one, better because it didn't have such a gold tone to it. So I don't think I would get this one again, even though I enjoyed it. I'm also not in the mood for primers right now. There are so few primers out there that I think are worth that extra step. I'm thinking the Tarte Poreless Primer, the one in the pot. I also really like the Control Primer from Smashbox. Stuff that's for oil control and not so much glow. That's definitely my preference, but even then, sometimes just adding a primer just adds like a heaviness or something to my makeup, and yeah, sometimes it's just like not worth the extra step. And the last product I have is a perfume from Pinrose. It is Sun Saint. I got a little sample of it, I think as a free gift with purchase, and really loved it. I also loved how long it lasted. So I asked for this for Christmas, I'm pretty sure, and I got it a few years ago. And this one took 135 wears to finish, and I didn't feel like I needed to overspray it in order to get it to last. You didn't need that much. What's surprising about me is because in my last Empties video, I had, I think, 3 or 4 different perfume empties. The ones I really liked were called Amber Florals. And so I think that's the sweet spot for me. That's what I learned from talking about it in that video. This one is actually a woody, spicy fragrance. I wouldn't have thought of myself as a woody or spicy scent person, but this one really did it for me. I very much enjoyed this. I'm kind of sad that I finished it before summer because this is a great summer scent for me. I'm looking it up on the Fragrantica website so that I can give you some more detailed information. It says the top notes are lime, eucalyptus, mandarin orange, and yuzu. The middle notes are sea salt, cashmere musk, and violet. And the base notes are coconut and sandalwood. Those notes together worked really well. I very much enjoyed this. And I am sad to see it go, but I have a lot of perfumes to work through before I start purchasing new ones, but this one would definitely be on the repurchase list. Anyway, those were all of my makeup empties for the last 2 months. I do have a playlist of all of the empty videos I've done since the conception of my channel. It was one of the first videos I did back in the middle of 2017. I really hope you enjoyed. That's everything I have for today. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.